Hi, Deputy Director. I'm Linda Tripp. I'm one of the collection development librarians at the Somerset County Library System. So I'm really happy to meet you.
Nice to meet you too, Linda.
One of my job responsibilities is selecting nonfiction for teens and for children of all ages. And I picked out 3 books that I think are really great with the theme of Women's History Month. And so I'm going to start with history. Women's Right to Vote, and it's from the History Smashers series, which is a new series by author Kate Messner. And what I really like about this is that she really does tell kind of the untold stories of something that we probably think we know a lot about. So the women's right to vote, fittingly, last year was the 100th anniversary of the 19th Amendment being ratified. So it's kind of very fitting that this book came out, and we've seen a lot of books on this topic. This is great for kids from about 3rd grade up through, I would say, 7th or 8th grade. And what I like about it is we learn more about the people whose stories haven't been told. So one of the stories that the author tells about is how they fought for justice and equality, but it was really for people who looked like them, who were upper to middle class, white. They fought very vehemently against Black voting rights from the 15th Amendment. But we learn more about other people whose stories maybe were hidden. The last chapter of the book talks a little bit about the 1960s and civil rights movement. And then also at the end of the book, we learn more about some of the current day women in our political environment, including people still fighting for voting equality, like Stacey Abrams.
So I have a 12-year-old cousin, and this seems like something that's perfect. So for Christmas, I actually bought her a book on RBG. I think it's so inspiring, to see other women and what they did to move us one step in the right direction. We're still fighting for these things today. So in order for us to see that we can be leaders, we have to make sure that we show all like the little girls in the world that, they can do this, and there are other people that have in the past, and you can be a person in leadership.
My second book, Girls Think of Everything, by author Catherine Fimish. We meet different people, different women, and we know that throughout history, women have always been innovators and inventors, and they've always been challenged with a problem and have come up with solutions. We hear stories. For example, Ruth Wakefield, what she ended up doing was inventing the Toll House cookie, which we commonly know as the chocolate chip cookie. So she took a problem, a situation, and came up with something that ended up being a treat that almost all of us enjoy. It's inspiring for kids of all types, boys and girls, and it shows some of the things that women can do when they're challenged. The front cover of the book and the back end papers includes a selected timeline of other inventors starting in 3000 BCE, going all the way through current day.
To 1800 section to, the most current being the 1980s. The list has grown so much for just women getting credit for some of the brilliance that we do have and the recognition for, our footprint in history. So I think that just on the first 2 pages speaks for itself. And, I'm excited to see what else is in this book, and, very happy that, this has become a part of our collection.
My last book is called Noisemakers, 25 Women Who Raised Their Voices and Changed the World. It is actually made of graphic novel or comic panels for each of the people featured. So these are 25 amazing women. There are scientists, activists, trailblazers, inventors. Everyone is done by a different graphic artist, all females or identifying as female. And at the very back of the book, we have little mini bios about each of the artists and the other work that they've done. So not only is this really appealing to girls and boys, it's great for comic book fans or graphic novel fans. And the book's divided up into 6 different sections. So it's grow, tinker, play, create, rally, explore. In the beginning of each section or each biography, we learn a little bit about the person, and then there's a quiz. And what that quiz does is it invites the reader to consider how they are similar to the person they're going to learn about. So it's pretty cool. I loved it. I love the format, and I'm real excited about this book.
When you go through this book, it is literally like a comic book. It jumps out to you, brings everything to life. And, the impact that this really has on me, it brings me back to when I was over at Bernardsville Middle School. So I went to the Somerset Hill School District, grew up over in the northern part of the county. And one of my teachers, they said, well, if you're trying to plan for what you want to do when you grow up, try to find a role model that looks like you. Mm-hmm. And, the boys, they had no problem, picking out a person that has been there, done that. The woman, especially minority woman, and my mother's also an immigrant from Ecuador. So when you try to find someone that looks like you, that has accomplished things, and that has actually received the recognition, even going back to our last book there, sometimes we don't always get credit for what we do.
I totally agree. And, representation does matter, especially for young children. And what I loved about each biography is that, they're only like 8 pages long, maybe 10 pages long, but you get so much information. You really get a good sense of the person just from the text and the glorious pictures. So I think it's a real success.
So thank you so much for, a little, snippet of what to find in these books, and really excited.
And so many women and women of color and women of, diverse backgrounds are represented now. It's amazing. So come on into the library and we'll show you more.
And I do have to say, growing up, I was not a big reader. So seeing books like this, it really makes it just, so delightful. Mm-hmm. With the actual graphics in it too, it makes it a lot more palatable. So if you have a kid that does not like to read, I think these are actually excellent choices. Well, thank you.
Thank you. It was so nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too, virtually for now, but I'd love to
hopefully someday in person, right?
Exactly.